Okay, hi everybody. Uh, Thank you all for joining us. I think there will be more people joining us later on. But thanks very much for being in this third session of studio visit, online studio visit by Draw to Perform. I'm really happy to collaborate again and to introduce you Merav Shinn Ben-Alon. She's an artist from Israel and a very good, my best friend actually. And I asked Merav to join us today. As I thought, well, those Draw to Perform meeting online are concentrating right now on the performative side of drawing and performance, and I try to expand the all the work that is being done under this umbrella. And I was thinking of reaching out to people that are less performing, but thinking more of drawing and thinking of drawing in relation to process, to sharing the process, to layering the process, to working with other components such as text and including them inside this umbrella, and also drawing in relation to installation and to working with people in space and to maneuver them or to direct them, yeah, in relation to science and drawings and much more. And that's actually what we are going to talk about. Some of the things we are going to talk about. Just a personal introduction, and then Alma will professionally talk about Merav. Our collaboration and our friendship began quite long time in the 90s. We both graduated from the same school, and as a young artist, we found ourselves really struggling to make our way into the art scene. That's where, and to communicate with other artists, that's where we met by chance and started a studio visits to each other. And those studio visits became very important to us. We started to record them, and eventually we ended up in a museum, in exhibition in a museum in Harod Museum, which combined more than 10 years of our work separately, but we choose to mix it together and to make kind of a installation. The exhibition called Collaborations, and since then we are still in contact. I'm quite away from Israel for quite a while now, but there are other ways to communicate and to brainstorm about art and art and drawing and mark making. So let's start with Alma. Alma, will you please tell us a little bit about Merav practice, please?
Yeah. Merav Shinn Ben-Alon is a multidisciplinary artist based in Tel Aviv. She earned her BA in Fine Art at the Bezalel Academy of Art and Design and her MA at the Interdisciplinary Program in the Arts at Tel Aviv University, completing both with distinction. Exhibitions of her work have been held internationally in galleries and museums, such as the Israel Museum, Jerusalem, the Xpon-Art Gallery, Hamburg, Lewisham Arthouse, London, NordArt International Art Exhibition, Germany, Watari Museum of Contemporary Art, Tokyo, and Zenit Gallery, Copenhagen. Merav curated installation art projects at Tmu-na Theater Gallery in Tel Aviv, received prestigious awards, and participated in artist residencies, such as the Mark Rothko Art Centre program, Latvia. In 2020, she published her innovative artist book / graphic novella, Five Legs.
Excellent. Thank you, Alma.
Wow.
Sounds very official, but that's you. And I'm really happy to have you with us, Merav. Thank you very much for joining the online program and for joining me for the first time in this journey with the Draw to Perform that started in 2013 when I moved to England. And yes, where shall we start, actually? There's so many options. So I would like to say that because we're doing already those kind of like ping pong studio visits for a long time now, I would like to invite you, all those other precious people that came and joined us here on the Zoom session to kind of like participate with us in this dialogue, but let's not make it a dialogue, but let's open it up. And we'll start with the introduction of Merav work, a presentation, a talk about her past practice and present. I will ask a few questions to Merav, and you more than welcome to join and ask her some interesting questions after seeing her work and the presentation. Okay, so hi, Merav.
Hi. So thank you, it's really a great pleasure and honor to be in your Draw to Perform. And it's kind of strange and exciting to talk with you in the studio, which is something that I'm used to. And then there's all these people around which are here and are not here. So it's quite something. I want to put on the presentation and then I'll
just before you, oh, okay, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead. Okay.
So first of all, I was thinking of telling you a little bit about where am I now. So my studio is located in Tel Aviv. It's right by the Shuk HaCarmel and the Carmel Market, and it's 5 minutes from the beach. And it's in a building. It's called Tel Aviv Artist Studios, which is a 10-year studio grant. So I've been here for 6 years already. And my studio is one of my favorite places on earth. So it's a really very precious space for me. And I think I like it very neat and comfortable. It's really like a home. The thing is that it's not very close to my house. So it turned out that it takes me about 50 minutes walk or 30 minutes by bicycle ride. And I was thinking of sharing with you my daily practice because I'm not going to make a performance. I'm sorry. I'm not a performance artist. But I was thinking about sharing with you some of my daily routine and my performative act. And so, you know, we've been in lockdown for quite a while, but in the past 2 weeks, we're out of it and the city is coming back to life. And I'm really enjoying walking in the city again. And so I wanted to share with you my daily routine, but it's from last week. So you can see that I'm starting. I started a new sketchbook. So usually I write down on the first page. I write down the date, and when I finish it, I write the last day. I was walking. I was walking in the street on my way to the studio, and I was simply taking just photos, you know, that has no significance. But I was thinking that it could be interesting to show you how I collect these non-important images, and then they turn out to be a journal, a daily practice, a drawing that I make. And later on, I develop it into a language component and use it in my other projects.
Merav,
So
just a second.
Yes.
Before you continue, I would like to ask if all of you seeing the shared screen, because I see it in small. Is anybody having a problem seeing the shared screen? Can see the screen. No, it's fine. Okay, yeah. So everybody can see the screen.
Except you.
Yeah, well, me and the technology, of course. No, okay, if we good, we good. Can see the screen. Okay, thank you, guys. Yes, go on, sorry.
Okay. So, okay. So this is really the diary from the past few days, and photos that I have in my camera roll in my iPhone. Not very exciting photos, but as you can see, it's enough for me to make drawings out of it. I don't really know why I pick up those special images, but that's the idea, that I don't need to know at the moment. It's just something that hits me, and I'm just sort of drawing it, and it's a very, very simple practice. It's a pen on paper, and it's a pen that is used for normally for writing. So it's that was my lunch on that day. And this is from an exhibition that I've seen in Petah Tikva Museum of Art. So because the museum have opened. And so that's about my daily practice. And we will see later on how the images are being developed. Ram also wanted me to show you a little bit around the studio. So I'm going to turn the computer now and show you a little bit of what's going on, and I'll get to the.
I think you have to unshare your screen so we can
right.
see you
right.
large, and then can get back to it.
Okay. Okay, so I will do it now. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a shelf with lots of books like this. These are all sketchbooks, and
hundreds.
I don't know, but there's a lot of them. So as I said, I'm doing the sketches, and I'm just going to show a few. It's not very comfortable to look at it like this, but they look like this. They're kind of small, and they're pretty much the size of my iPhone. And the next thing that I'm doing, just a minute. Is that I scan the images and I turn them into digital images, and that allows me to, in a way, archive them. Maybe I can go back to the presentation. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
And this is another book that I've done a couple of years ago. I called it the book because it's like a diary, drawing book, daily book. And it's, you can see it here, right?
Yeah.
You can see me?
Yeah.
So it's exactly the size of the sketchbooks, but I've collected 50 images from here. And the idea is that you can turn the pages.
From which year is this book? From which year is this book?
It's from 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you. Here you can see it from close detail. So there were 3 different types of paper. One of the paper was transparent paper, and it allowed you to play with the images and put one on top of the other and see the transparent underneath. And so that was another way to take the drawings out of the sketchbooks after they have been digital images and reprint them and create a new sequence and a new story out of it. So there are a few more examples. So what I'm saying, and it's going to be the main thing I'm going to talk about today, is that when I first choose the images, they have sort of meaning, but in a way they don't, okay? It's like, it's very intuitive meaning, and it's not like a big, deep something of idea, conceptual idea behind it. But the conceptual part becomes later on when I'm editing the images, when I'm using them as a language component, and when I create a new things out of it.
So we can say,
yeah.
Sorry, so we can say that, like, for you, drawing is like a stream of notion, or just like you're capturing an image and you have to translate it into drawing, but it doesn't really important which image is it, but it's not random, important, right?
It's important in a very intuitive way. Sometimes I look at something and I know that it's there because I need to draw it. Sometimes I don't know it. It's just been there in my camera roll, and I find it. You know, we collect images in our camera roll, not necessarily things that we need. Sometimes we need to send it to somebody, and then I can find myself drawing it later on. But the meaning of it can come up later on. It's not something that I necessarily have to give myself answers about it. So it allows me to work very freely with the images and to really make selection afterwards. You know, when I'm scanning the drawings, I don't scan all the drawings that I have in every single sketchbook. So I do make some collection, selection, sorry. And also when I archive them in the computer, I can put them in different files, so it will be easier for me to to find certain things if I would want to go back to a specific image and use it. And of course, there are images that are more iconic and much more stronger than the others, and I would use them several times in different situations. And sometimes I can find something that which is, you will see it later on, which is totally banal and can come up very interesting.
Just another question for me, sorry. At that point, maybe I know that you are you're using your mobile to capture images and translate them into drawings, but you also using other artists or other art images and kind of like copy them or translate them into your drawing language, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. First of all, I like very much the word translation. I think it's very accurate for me, and we'll talk about it more when we talk about the book. And I think it's also a way of, in the drawing, since it's so isolated with white, what I'm doing is sort of creating a fragment, taking it out, disconnecting it from the environment and giving it another interpretation. Sometimes it's, as I said, it's a everyday image, but sometimes it's like this. For instance, this one is based on a work by Michal Neiman. Michal Neiman is a very, very well-known, established Israeli artist. It's based on this image of her, of one of her collages, but it's not very recognizable because of the fact that in the original work by Michal, there's a whole different context of the way this image appears. It appears with other elements, but I've taken out the sort of gender feminist part of it and gave it another interpretation of my own. So it's another thing that I do with images, and then pick them on purpose and give them another interpretation.
Excellent.
So shall we move on to the next step, or you have more questions about this part? It was just introduction.
Excellent. Yes, please go.
Okay. So now I want to talk a little bit about my thing with writing. And it sounds very nice thing, you know, to have, you know, to say about yourself that you're writing. But as a matter of fact, when I started writing 20 years ago, it was kind of personality crisis, in a way, like finding your sexual identity, because I think that you know, a lot of artists today are multidisciplinary, and it's not such a big deal to say about yourself that you work in several mediums. But I think that between writing and working with images, being a visual artist, there is a big difference, or at least I experience it that way. And I sometimes have this split personality, and I need to find out a way to give space for each part of me. I even don't work on both mediums in the same space. For instance, in the studio, I don't write, you know, I have a study for it. And so I need this separation. And it was never something that I was able easily to combine. And there's always been a conflict or a split between both mediums. Sometimes I would say it's two sides of the same paper, of one paper. Just a minute. So when I first started to write 20 years ago, I understood that I need to find space for the writing in my life, because I'm not gonna give up being an artist or a painter, but I have to do something with this thing that is writing, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I was actually looking for a very real space for it to be able to perform. And so I started looking for places where I can use writing. And I started, you know, to write on objects that were around me. So this is one of the things that I was trying to do. And whenever I found something that has lines, for instance, on this piece of shirt, I started to write my resume. It's in Hebrew, but it says that it's my CV. And I was trying to use different techniques, such as embroidery. And later on, I realized that what I really need for the writing is the space. But it started one day when I was in the studio, and I don't know why, I started to write on the wall. And I think I was writing my CV, by the way, and sort of a story about it. And I was looking at it, and I was looking at the paintings that were next to it. And I think that it hit me that I don't have to write on a paper. I don't have to write a book. I can use the space, I can use the wall, because I can see and feel the narrative within it. And that's the way, and that's the place where I can combine it. And so I'm not going to show you all the installations that I've done, but there was a point, it was in beginning of the 2000s, that I made about 10 years of text installations. And the interesting thing that happened when I started to write on the wall together with ways, with images and objects and different ways to connect to the space, is that I have realized that it relates to the viewer in a total different way that paintings are relating to the viewer. If you've been to a painting installation or just a normal exhibition, sometimes people will just walk in, take a look, and go out. But when there is text, they have to get closer to the text and read it. So I realized that it creates something in the movement of the body of the viewer that makes them move their body in order to be able to read the text. If the text is, for instance, like here, you can see in the left side, the text is on the wall, but you need to bend a little bit to be able to read it. It sort of forces the viewer to become involved in the installation, to move their own body. And I realized that I can, in a way, write the choreography of the viewer if I want. So if I put the text on top, they would go up. If I put it down, they would bend. And it was a very interesting thing for me to work with. Another thing that I had to check, yeah, here you can see the entire installation of this exhibition. It was called Good Night, Sleep Well. Is that I can I cannot make the viewer / reader to read the text as they would read it in a book, okay? Because when you open a book, you open first, and you start reading in the first page and you end in the last page if you finish the book. But when you have text in a space, you cannot force the viewer to read it from start to end. So you have to think about it and build it in a totally different way. And that was very, very challenging and extremely interesting for me. And I think I picked up this idea and I brought it to the book. You will see it later on. So what I had to do is I had to divide the text into components, into parts, into pieces of small stories. So wherever you start, as long as you read the entire exhibition, you will get the entire story, and so it doesn't matter where you start. And so you can see that this space was built like a circle, and it was a very actually sad story about my mother that passed away. And so the viewers were walking around. The text, as you could see here, was inside the shadows. So if you turn on the light or you turn off the light, there was no exhibition. It was like a memory. It was like something that can disappear with a minute. Also, all these broken chairs. It was almost nothing. But when the viewer ended up the circle in the space, there was a box of tissue, and nobody left the room dry. So, so I think it was, and I realized that I think about it now actually, that it's not just about writing, it's really about telling a story, which is extremely important for me. And about finding ways to tell the story, which is another thing. How do I do it? If you have questions, please stop me.
Yeah, no, I think at that point, let's move on with the presentation.
Yes. So you can see the viewer inside the exhibition. And here there are more installations of text. You can see the interaction. And this is this is an exhibition that I did with Ram Samocha, the collaborator in El Harod Museum of Art in 2003. I'm not going to show you the entire exhibition. I'm just going to show you my wall, and that was the name of this work, my wall. But on the other side of the space was Ram's installation, which was very nice. You can see it on his website. And what I did here, it's a little bit difficult to see, but maybe you can see these little lines. And so all these lines were stories, and we'll see it in a minute. And here there was something else. So it was actually a drawing installation. Here you can see it from a closer side, that what I did is the drawing was made out of nails and strings. And again, when the exhibition went down, everything went down. But the stories were underneath, and people were walking through the wall. It was 11-meter long wall, and we're reading the stories. Another thing that was interesting is that that from a distance, you couldn't see that there is text on the wall. You could just see the images. But when you got closer to it, you could see the text that was pulling you in. I put down this image, which is another reference to this one we've seen before, which is based on Michal Neiman. But I wanted to show you the way that the language is developing from the installations with the nails and the red string. And here it's not a red string, it's a drawing. And when I did these drawings, it's pen on paper. It was interesting because my mind and my body already remember the act of doing it on the wall, of doing it in the installation. So when I was drawing it, I was sort of repeating something that I've already knew how to do.
Physical action.
Yes. Yeah. And this is another development of this idea, but it's a drawing. It's a pen on paper with watercolor and ink. Another way to reflect on the idea of the wall as something that is remembering the mark that has been done on it. So it's another a variation of this idea of the installation, that actually nothing is left out of it, but the memory of it is still remains in the space, in the wall. This is another text installation that I did in Petah Tikva Museum of Art in 2011. Here, the idea was to create a text inside the wall, and it's another development of the same idea of the memory of the wall and what is in it, and but in a different way. Here the letters were cut out, and I was painting them with red. So you could put your fingers inside the letters, and the text was surrounded in the space. And there was a story, but it has a beginning and an end, but you didn't know where. You could have started everywhere. And yeah, it's really hard to photograph these things, but I think that that's what makes them strong when you experience it in the space. That not only your eyes are in getting into it, but it's your hands that wants to touch it, and it turns the viewer into part of the performance of the project.
Merav, I bet the location of the line of the text was very important for you. So will you be able to share with us why did you choose to put it a little bit so people will look a little bit down when they're...
I wanted it to be, first of all, it was in the middle of the height of the wall. So in a way it was like, sort of cutting it like this.
Yeah.
That was one idea, to make the space like a body, and the other idea was to make the viewer to put their fingers in. So I wanted them to look at it not only through their eyes, but through their hands. And the other thing was that when you moved around, the colors have changed, because if you look at it from the front, you would see the black part of the letters. But when you move around, you would see the
redness.
The side of the letter, yeah, and so the three-dimensional part of it, which was red. So it was shifting from red to black, but it's kind of complicated to show it. Okay, so if you have more questions about the installations, I'm gonna move on to... talk more about the drawings and the book. So you're welcome to.
Would you like people to ask right now, or do you want to?
I don't mind. I don't mind. It's fine. Both are fine with me.
Is there
So,
anybody? Yeah. Shall I ask people, or I think if you can if you can go ahead with the presentation, and then
okay.
we will try to
Okay.
refer to sections in the presentation.
Sure, no problem. And so when I was starting putting the drawings in the presentation, I really wanted you to sort of see the strong connection. Well, it's easy to see that there is with the red color and the red line, the red string. You can see how it's going with me. It's changing a little bit. I sort of gave up the nails in a way. And the wall, it's not as concrete as it was, but it's still there. It's still something that I need, and in a way, it's my way of sort of talking about text and subtext of one voice and another voice. It's very, very simple, and yet it brings the complexity that I want. And another thing that I wanted to show here when I was putting down those images together in this particular slide is that each drawing can come up from, as I said, different source. But when I put them together, they're sort of telling a story. They create something that is new. And if I change the order, they would tell maybe something else. So this skirt and this woman are coming from works that I've seen in an exhibition of a Belgian artist, Michael Bormans, that was showing his work in Tel Aviv Museum a couple of years ago. And this is by Ben Zank, which I've seen on Instagram. So the images are coming from different sources. But what we're going to see now are all images from the book, from Five Legs. And
your latest book, which you published.
Yeah, I will tell you about it in a minute. Yeah, it's a big project that I've worked on it a couple of years. But the way I was working with the images, I want to show you the process. So it started from images that I had on my sketchbooks. It came from different sources. These are my shoes. Sometimes they're very simple things. Sometimes they are from art history, things that are coming from. This is from my, never mind. Doesn't matter where it comes from, actually. And this image was, in a way, the beginning of this process. I've seen this Yogini in a work by an Israeli artist called Ronit Porat. It was a collage that she made. Probably she also took it from another source because she's working a lot also from images that are coming from different sources. And I made this drawing. And I really don't know why, but I started playing with it on Photoshop. And I created all sorts of other images out of it. And later on, this series was the series that gave the book its name, Five Legs. This is how it started. The other thing that happened with the book is that I had a story that I needed to tell. And so it was after many years of writing, but as I showed you, I was mainly working in installations. I never published a book, and it was always a dream. It was always something I wanted to do, and yet it was very painful and impossible for me to do it. And I didn't know why. And I didn't know why I'm unable to combine both things that are both so much part of me, a part of my work. And what happened with Five Legs is that the story made me understand that in a way to solve the problem by creating a problem. So the story of the book is the story of a revelation of a family secret, of finding out about two other sisters that I didn't know that I have. And for me, it was about the idea of this connection. And I think that when I realized that that's what the story is about, it sort of gave me the key to work through the connection of writing and drawing by this, using the idea of this connection. So I understood that I don't need to write something and illustrate it. That what I need to do is edit them in a way that makes a sense for me.
But not linear sense.
It's not necessarily a linear sense, and it worked very well with the story, with this specific story that was so crazy and so something that you cannot believe that actually happened, and that was a way to start working with it. So I took a big sketchbook and I started to cut I printed the images and I started to cut them and paste them and just play with it, you know, and juxtapose them one next to the other together with the text and see how it works. Here is another development of this process that took me to another work. Since I had all these small cutouts of the images from the book. When I'm saying from the book, again, it's the book at that moment is just a file of digital images that I've collected from sketchbooks. And I somehow decided that they're gonna be
inside the book.
Inside the book. I don't know why. It was just an intuitive idea, and that's it. And later on, I wrote the text, and the next thing was to edit them together, which was the most, I think, important and creative part of the process. And so that's the way I developed to work. But in the meanwhile, they came out some new works that I exhibited in London, and they're all cutouts from the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's printed on canvas. Each one is about a meter 10. So altogether, it's about 220 by 220. Also in Five Legs, there were other things, not just drawings, not just drawings from the sketchbooks. I found out another file of things that I've done. Sometimes I'm doing things and I just somehow forget about them, and then later on, I understand why and what I need to do with them, and I go back to them, and it can take a couple of years. So it's only, you know, after the book was published that I went back to these files and checked the date of when I did these drawings on this
Stickers. Or...
stickers, yeah. And I realized that I did it a year before I started to write the story. So that was really, really interesting for me, because I completely forgot about it. And I thought that this series came at the end of the process when we were already working on the design, and it's only later on that I realized that it was actually maybe the beginning. And I was telling the story here, but I was telling it with no words. But the narrative was already here. And these stickers came from my father's office. I found them there after he passed away, and
had to do something with it.
It's you know, when the old printers that had these holes in them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the book. I want to give credit to the 3 women that took really, really important part of working with me, and the graphic designer, Michal Shapira, the editor, Shom Smith, and English translator, Gila Kahn-Hoffman. And all the 3 of them were really getting into my creativity process and working with me on it. So I really want to give them big credit. So this is the cover of Five Legs, and this is the back of it. And
this is the time maybe to say that the book was created in Hebrew, but the translation was kind of like different. It was not one-on-one translation, right? Or do you want to talk about?
I think that the translation process was, first of all, it's a bilingual, okay? And the English for me, from the beginning, the idea was that I want the book to be in both languages. So I don't, in a way, don't like to say that it's translated, because I don't want you to know which language was first. The idea was that both languages need to create the same relationship with the visual images, and to have a special relationship between themselves, like in the story, like in the book, to be like another character, the one that is not seen, but everyone everything is connected to her, like the unknown sister in a way. So it was not just translation. It was really the same as the design was really part of the of the creating of the project.
Mm-hmm.
So I put here first the red thing, so that we all know that we're home. And now we can dive in. So you can see the stickers again. The book had 5 chapters. Actually, it's not true. There is more, but the idea is that there is 5 chapters, and each chapter is taking is another is in a different place. So the first chapter is hospital.
And we can see here that there is the text which you follow.
Yeah, you'll see it in a minute.
There is the image.
Yeah,
the images
you can see it from
that placed, let's say, beside them, but the images are not necessarily connected to the text. They are kind of like individual, also to interpret. Yeah, so it's few layers that working here, but in a strange way. Well, maybe it's not strange. You worked on it quite for a long time, but there is a kind of like there is a relation and there is a connection, but it's sometimes unseen, or sometimes deja vu, or sometimes it's hidden. Yeah.
I think the idea was that the same as it was in the installations, I wanted the viewer to be involved and interact with the work. So it's not just about reading, and it's not just about seeing images. It's really about being part of this event that is happening to you, not just to me. It's not just about something that happened to me and I'm telling you about it. I'm really sort of pulling you inside, and I want you to interact with it. And you need to work. You need to pick up all the pieces. You need to understand that you don't understand. And then the moment that you think you're getting something, there's another twist. So in the plot. So I wanted you to feel this sort of shaky feeling, and this misunderstanding, and this confusion. And sometimes we feel uncomfortable about it, and we feel anxious about it. But that's what I wanted. And I think there are some rewards as you go along. So
Can you share us a little bit more images from the book, please?
another thing that I wanted to say is that the book is open from bottom to top, and not from left to right or right to left. For those of you who doesn't know, Hebrew is written from right to left. So if you want to have both languages, you have to solve this problem. And since I knew that I want both languages to connect to the image, this is where the idea of riffing came. And only later on, I realized that it's sort of the idea of opening a box, opening a Pandora box.
Yeah.
Another thing in the third chapter is the letters. It's the letters that I found in my father's office, and it's about, you can see it here, letters of recommendations for soldiers that were prisoners during the Yom Kippur War, and came back from captivity. That's the fourth chapter. And this is the last one, which is a diary. You can see again this so we're almost there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
Great. Thanks a lot, Merav, for your great presentation. I enjoyed very much, though I know the material, but it's always nice to see a summary of your multidisciplinary work. I have to say that you know, just to tell others, this is just a part of your practice. You came from painting. You were a painter. You had doubts and questions.
I'm still a painter.
You're still a painter, but on the way you had doubts and thoughts about being a painter and what does it mean, and that opened you doors. Just a quick note, if anybody wants to get hold on the book, it's just following your website, and it's quite clear, and it's going everywhere internationally, shipping it. But I want to ask a question about maybe to start about the studio. What's going on the wall behind you? Because it's really clear that there is something going on there.
These are actually oil on canvas. So I'm still a painter. No, I don't think I never stopped being a painter. But the thing is that painting was not enough for me, and that was frustrating. You know, that was something that I needed to figure out. What is wrong with me? Why it's not enough? You know, and what else is it that I need? And but I think that now, after I've come to more peace also with the writing, I can go back to painting and find space for it in my heart, in my studio, in my palette. And I'm not trying to combine it with other things, but it has its own place, and I'm still working on it. So yes, if you want to take a look.
Yeah, can you move the camera a little bit to the other side?
These are oil paintings.
These are all paintings, and can you move a little bit the camera to the other side so we can see the whole series? Yeah. Again, it's kind of like
a series of 7, and it's also based on images of women artists from the 70s, which is a big project in my work, but we didn't get into it today.
Well, it's interesting because performative drawing is really related to the investigation that happened in the 70s, of course, and me myself finding myself meeting and going back to the 70s with the other artists that were that created the kind of like the language and the revolution back then. But it is very important for you to link yourself and to visit this period. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?
I don't know if it's about linking. I think it's about rereading it. I want to find new interpretations. I want to find new narratives about this period, because there is the way the canon has written the history of the Israeli art, but I think that as an artist I can read it differently, and I have the freedom to do it, and maybe I should do it. So I'm trying to read it not in a way to link to it, but in a way of pulling out hidden narratives, subtext, especially gender issues that were not spoken back in the 70s and are now very much in the discourse, getting more and more every day. And so So that's for me the most important thing, and it's in that way it's a big project, I think. So what I'm doing is also in the drawings, but in the paintings as well.
Yeah.
Again, working with the fragment and taking it out, disconnecting it, and then connecting it in a different way, and sort of building another story, another narrative out of it. So, for instance, if you see this shoe, that's the shoe from the drawings that we've seen with the underwear of Michal Neumann.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can see the
there.
missing shoe.
At that point, I think because there are many things to talk about, I think I would like to hold the viewer with the fresh thought about your presentation, about working with text, maneuvering and directing the audience in the space, working in different layers and different medium, combining them together, and maybe ask and of course ending up into the sort of a conventional format of a book, but it's not a conventional book at all. So I would like to open up the discussion right now to people and ask you to come out of your mute and maybe ask Merav a question if you'd like, please. Is there anybody that would like to go ahead and be the first one? Can you? We have. You will have to unmute yourself and ask the question. Sorry, I won't follow the chat for now. Is it okay? Anybody? I think there was a question there. I'll try to. Okay. So how do you interpret the motives differently, working in painting or drawing? They seem different to me. So
Again, how do you
interpret? So how do you that's a hard word for me to interpreting and moving between different mediums such as painting and drawing, because ever asked that said that it has a different view in a way, and which is true. Like you're working quite a lot in drawing with a line, comparing to a painting, which is quite more working with the space and with the spots, more covering and layering. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's connecting. I'm not sure I understand the question, but connecting between drawing and painting is sometimes even more complicated than from drawing to writing, you know. I think with the drawing, I feel that it's since I can use the sort of the diary, I have this kind of freedom that comes with just doing and later on thinking, you know, or picking up something and then later on working with it. And it's very satisfying in the minute you do it. Painting sometimes it takes, it's a longer process. and it takes more, even preparation, you have to, set the room, you have to change clothes, you have to put the colors. There's much more mess around it. It's less spontaneous, you have to be ready to work for it. And when I work on paintings, I need to have an idea before I start, even if it's a general idea of just working with, let's say, abstract painting. I still need to know that that's what I want to do, not necessarily a specific image. So in a way, it's less spontaneous, and I think it's more about it's about putting a stain. It's about putting a mark. It's about being involved in, the body is involved in it. And it's definitely more complicated to solve.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it works on a different passion, I think. It's something else that I enjoy and something else that is complicated.
Okay. Anybody else would like to ask Merav a question? That's the part. Asking questions is hard for participants. I don't know why, but it takes time.
Don't have to ask if you don't want.
Okay. Anybody? I really enjoy people asking questions, actually, because it's sometimes you experiencing a subject or
there's a question here. How do you? It's the same question.
Yeah, it's from Karen.
The red line is so vulnerable, and it's not in your paintings.
The red line.
It's more a form. The red line is sometimes in my paintings. We didn't see all my paintings. We didn't see, what we've seen today is 10% of my work. Sorry.
Can you maybe tell us about the red, like working with red? I know that there are, well, I know that you were a teacher teaching color for students for a long time. So obviously you know about working with color quite a lot, but you choose to work quite a long time now with red, particularly, yeah, like so people can identify you and say, yeah, this is your language. Why did you choose the red? Is it related
it's not the first time. You can imagine that it's not the first time that I hear this question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's a very interesting question, but I don't think I have an interesting answer. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It would seem quite banal to talk about it, when it gets to words. Because sometimes that's why I'm, if I talk about this split in myself, sometimes I'm very happy that I don't have to have words to explain something, that I can do it through visual things. And sometimes it's the other way around. But I have used red lines in my paintings, even red strings. And I didn't show it today. And I have big red paintings. So it's there, and I've been investigating it in different ways. Also in words. I even have text with red. So so I like the way I can play with it, and that it changes its meaning. So if I will explain it, it means that it won't be an interesting answer. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can say that it's the text and the subtext.
Of
Sort
the
of.
red, yes. Of the red. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course we know that red is interpreted, here is the word again, differently in quite few cultures. So yeah. Anybody else that would like to unmute himself and
There's a question here. If you had to choose between drawing and painting, which one would you choose? I don't know who is asking it, but in a way, it's not fair. It's like you have, several kids, and somebody's asking you who you like more. So I want to answer, but I don't want to answer. I think that in the past few years, drawing is a more preferable medium for me, and I felt that it has opened much more freedom for me in my work, and I think that painting is much more
private, maybe.
It's not private, but it's on its own. Okay, it's much more complicated to connect painting with other discipline, and drawing is much more open to dialogues, and so it allows me more freedom, more creativity. So in that way, I enjoyed very much in the past 8 years. But I have to say that for those of you who doesn't know, I've only started drawing in 2012. So it's not that many years that I'm doing it, and it's very, very
well. But from knowing you, drawing was part of your vocabulary as a student, right?
No, not at all. I wasn't drawing at all.
Okay.
No, never. It just happened one day. I don't know, but
I have to rethink about that. I'll go over my files there, but okay, good to know.
It was not my medium. No. Interesting. Oh, you never know.
We have another question here. I don't know why people don't want to talk. They feel comfortable more with text.
Okay. If you had to choose, okay. With your cutout.
Can you read it, Merav? With your
with the bloody edges, is that?
With your cutout letters / text with the bloody edges, is that notation intended? Like, are you intended to do that? Like, are you intended to?
I don't understand. Sorry. What is mul?
Simon, can you? Yeah.
Mutilation.
Can you translate it to Hebrew, please?
פגיעה עצמית, פגיעה בגוף.
So the letters, you mean the letters? The letters in the wall?
Yeah, I think the reference is the letters in the word.
Maya, you mean the letters in the wall? I can't hear you.
It wasn't my question. I'm just translating, but I think yes.
Thank you.
It was meant that the letters are like body.
Yeah, I think you can read it this way. Sure.
Yeah, I think you said in your presentation that well, you prefer to the spaces as
yes,
body and the cut of the space. So yeah, maybe it's lead me back to a question that I was thinking while you presented it. Your relationship with the or or no relationship maybe to working with abstract images or to creating abstract images? Because is there any relation? Like, I know that you like abstract art, of course, but you prefer not to work with this language, right? With the
no, it's not. I like it a lot, and I have a lot of abstract paintings. I know that people that see it today and they think, oh, I didn't know that you have oh, I thought you were in your drawings, and so people are surprised when they see it.
It's mostly painting.
I think I have different parts, different directions. They all connect in some way, and again, the problem with painting is that it's very difficult to create dialogue between paintings and other mediums. So in that way, it sometimes I can work on it, but it would take more years for me to take it out and make an exhibition, because it has to have a context. That's the problem, but it's not because I don't like doing it. So
I know that you are working now on a new book, right? Or is...
Yes, I'm working on a new book.
Okay, so
I think I've become an addict now. Yeah, it's like I found out this this platform, and it's extremely exciting. But I have to say that I'm always working on several projects. I mean, not always, but in the past 8 to 10 years, working on simultaneously on several projects. And I find it very suitable for me, to shift from one thing to the other and work on them. Sometimes the processes are very long, so I like the idea that it's not linear. I don't finish a project and then start another one. I can work on several things. So working on a book, like I worked on Five Legs, I did a lot of other exhibitions during the time that I was working on it, but it was on work all the time. So yeah, so I've started working on a new book. Actually, I started a year ago, and yeah, so we'll see. It's very exciting.
I think this is a good stage to say thank you for this, and to say that Merav, you are the first one on this online program that is not that English is not her first language, and in our meetings we're talking in Hebrew, and it's obviously quite different, but I think it's really interesting to experience it in a different way, in trying to talk in a different language, and yeah, and I'm sure we will have other artists from different cultures and languages that will go and try to present. Your presentation was brilliant, and the visit was really interesting for me. I hope for you guys also. I would like to thank you all for being here. There were quite few people watching it here on Zoom and online. So thanks again for joining us, and thank you very much, Merav, for being with us today.
Thank you, Al.
Good luck with your future work.
Thank
you.
You
In the next
in
the next session of Draw to Perform Online. Ciao, guys. Thanks.
Bye. Again,